So Denver, Chicago up next. This is two teams that have absolutely got the stink on them. 46 over under. It feels like this could either be 100 points scored or 7 points scored, and I'm not sure it's going to be anywhere in between. What do you reckon, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, these are two teams who are just bad at moving the ball when it comes down to it. I think you look at the Broncos, and they were supposed to be a team with an excellent defense, but they've allowed the highest catch rate to wide receivers of 83%. Nobody else is over 77%. The Bears, we knew the Bears were going to stink, but for the Bears, it was kind of good to see Justin Fields get back to running slightly last week. After week 2, where he had like 4 rushing yards, he got back to 11 for 47 on the ground last week. But he's still not really getting it done from a fantasy perspective. Through 3 weeks, there's been 17 performances from quarterbacks where we've rushed over 37 yards or more. Of those 17 performances, 11 have resulted in a top 12 finish. 12 of the 17 have been 15 PPR points or greater, which is great for the quarterback position. But Justin Fields managed neither of that in his 2 games over 37 rushing yards. So he's not getting it done through the air. I'm not breaking any news there. Cole Kmet is 11th in tight end target share across the league, but he's 17th in fantasy points. DJ Moore, it feels like he's possibly in a worse situation than he was last year in Carolina, when we all just kept saying DJ Moore just needs a quarterback. So it's tricky. I don't think I want to be overly aggressive on the Bears side of it. I think, Khalil Herbert or Justin Fields is fine. On the Broncos side, I do actually think that there's enough value there that you can look at Jerry Jeudy. We've seen 2 games back from a hamstring injury now. He's not suffered a reoccurrence, and he's looked pretty good. I like Cortland Sutton at that price, 5,300, or if you really need to start him in redraft. Marvin Mims is absolutely going to have a bigger role. I think that we're seeing it. You can't put this back in the bottle when you see players just doing what he's doing. So his biggest barrier is the fact that the Broncos are 23rd in 11 personnel at the minute, so he's not on the field as often as we'd like. But sooner or later, I feel like he's going to start nibbling in at Cortland Sutton or perhaps Jerry Jeudy or one of the other wide receivers' workloads and just getting out there slightly more. But I can't bring myself to start Javonte Williams. Yeah, I mean, he's had 36 carries against P. Ryan's 12, which is definitely more than I expected. I expected Javonte to be off to a slow start. And he is off to a slow start in terms of production. He's not doing anything particularly crazy. He's had 4 red zone touches, but he's not turning them into points. So I haven't been able to start him, and I don't think I will start him until I see it. I'm fine being late on him rather than trying to be early and losing out.
Yeah, and a player that we're talking about being early on. So what was it, 2 weeks ago, I had my mini rant about Justin Fields and how I thought that his days as a starting quarterback in the NFL were numbered. Trade him if you can. It's proved that his dynasty value has plummeted after the last 2 weeks. I'm very close to pulling a similar alarm bell, shall we say, on Russell Wilson. This is a guy that, we've seen that Denver brought in Jarrett Stidham, gave him $5 million guaranteed, which is a lot of money for a backup quarterback. Sean Payton's in town, and this is Sean Payton's show. And yes, there is an insane amount of dead cap hit that they'd have to eat if they got benched Russell Wilson, released Russell Wilson. But somebody needs to be made the scapegoat if Denver keep losing. And that's not going to be Sean Payton. It's going to be Russell Wilson. And I think that if I'm rostering Russell Wilson in Dynasty, as soon as there's a spike week, as soon as there's a decent fantasy week, which hopefully is this week against Chicago, I'm looking to sell because I'm really, really panicked on that coming down the line.
I think it was incredibly telling that both these quarterbacks, when their teams were getting trounced last week, the teams left them in. They didn't take them out. That's what you see from teams who believe in their quarterbacks. They don't want them to get injured. I think if Sean Payton saw Russell Wilson get injured, that would be one less headache for him. He wouldn't have to worry about when to bench him. I'm not saying he wanted it, but I'm not sure he was concerned. And then you look at Justin Fields, and they're in full evaluation mode. They want to see as much as possible from him before they decide whether to try and trade him. So yeah, it was very damning.
Yeah. We've got a quick question at the bottom. ahead of tonight. Thoughts on starting Christian Watson? I'm not touching him. Coming off a hamstring injury, he's my wide receiver 38 on the week. I don't think I can comfortably start him.
No, and it's exactly the same for me. I mean, we've seen players come back from hamstring injuries and have reoccurrences far too often. It's just, I'd rather wait and find another player to play this weekend.
Yeah, agreed. Particularly on the Thursday, like
you don't want to ruin your week like that.
Yeah, it's just if you start him and he, potentially does it again or has a slow week, used in and out, it's just going to put you on the back seat and you're chasing it. Next question: start 3, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, and 1 flex. Aaron Jones, Kyron Williams, Romeo Doubs, Marquise Brown, Christian Kirk. So we'll go. Go on.
I'd go Kyron Williams, Marquise Brown, and Christian Kirk.
Yes. I'd go Kyron Williams, definitely. Christian Kirk, definitely. And then I think I'd be tempted to go Aaron Jones in the flex. But yeah, that's a tough one. I'd go Aaron Jones personally. And then last question before we move on to the next matchup. Flex spot, who should I start? Christian Watson, Marquise Brown, Najee Harris, Cam Akers, or bank on Saquon Barkley playing?
I think you're probably going to get enough information by Sunday that it's easy to make that decision. I wouldn't start Christian Watson because I'd want to buy yourself the time to make a better decision on this over the weekend. And then either Marquise Brown and Najee Harris, I'd be fine plugging in ahead of Saquon if we get any kind of negative news about him. But otherwise, I'd want to start Saquon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd go Saquon if he's playing. If not, I'd probably hold my nose and go Najee Harris. But I definitely am not starting Christian Watson this week. I think you can wait till Sunday to make that decision.